Hi, everybody, and welcome to Minute to Skim It. We got cool books this week. I'm actually Miss Jen.
And I'm Bean.
Or, someday we could just pretend to be each other.
That is
Although
true.
I'm not smart enough to pretend to be you, so you're going to have to really dumb it down. We're here to talk to you about the books that released this week, at least the ones that we got our grip on. Just like it's been for the last few weeks, there have been some shipping snafus for most every local comic shop. So here's a reminder as you go to comicshoplocator.com, as you're traveling probably this week and visiting other stores, that there are still a bunch of shipping anomalies that are going on. For example, this week we got half of our books, and we'll get our other half tomorrow, which will be very interesting. But we got a lot of really great books in this week and are excited to review them for you guys. There's a spoiler-free reviews, and they're truthful. We tell you whether we like them or not and what we liked about them. So it's very helpful. So you can head to your local comic shop or call them as you're headed out of town and say, hey, make sure I don't miss getting this book in my box. Because right now, print runs are getting smaller and smaller. They don't do an overrun like they used to. So for the example of Image, they're only doing first prints now. So if you're an Image lover, you should definitely add those to polls because there won't be any in the racks or very little. So heads up, everybody. So Miss Bean, what did you read this week?
Let's see. Let's start with this one. Let's start off hot this week. This is Joy Operations, the new one from Brian Michael Bendis with Dark Horse. And this one was awesome and very, very cool sci-fi, which I love.
Oh, man.
And it starts off with the main character, who's a woman, and she is like, it starts off with her standing on a building and she is like trying to orient herself, like trying to it's like she has been dropped into her body and is like figuring things out, as she's going. This one reminds me a lot of Altered Carbon in a good way.
Love that show and book.
And even to the point that they call them envoys. The word envoy is used. So I'm not really sure. After reading this first one, I'm not 100% sure. They're definitely just sort of dropping you into the world as well and sort of figuring out like what's going on, what's the rules of this world, And basically she has dropped into this body, which is assumably her body, or it is now. And she has a mission to do. But immediately she is attacked by this monster who looks kind of like a beholder from Dungeons and Dragons. And awesome, epic, like, fight. And the whole time, and at first, of course, you're reading a comic book, you assume that it's her thoughts that are in the little squares. But then after a while, she is like, what is this voice inside my head?
Oh.
It's not her. So, and there's a whole conspiracy that is starting to be laid out. This book is absolutely awesome. Like I said, it reminds me of Altered Carbon a lot, and lots of action. And I'm so excited for issue number 2 because it leaves you with a lot of questions that you're excited to get answered. Very, very good.
So for you watched both seasons of Altered Carbon?
Yes.
So I know they're both good, but Mackie, or I'm trying to remember who's the name of the person that did the first season.
His first name's like Joel.
Yeah,
I think.
he's Colonel Flag, right? From Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Does anyone know his name? Man, it's gonna make us crazy.
Somebody does, yeah. But which one did I like better? I liked both of them. I think that I liked the first season just because it surprised me so much. There is that initial like, whoa,
yeah,
I love this. That's what made me like fall in love with the series and the books and everything. So that's got me. I know his first name is Joel. Like his name, his last name's going to come to me. Like,
so the premise in that one is kind of like the very rich can just kind of like grow multiples of themselves and just kind of like put themselves in new bodies all the time. So they've lived forever and ever, which, you know, that can't be good for a brain. But and it there's a murder mystery that it starts out with, right?
Yeah,
that the main character has been set out to try to go solve, but it's very twisty.
Yeah, very, very twisty. It's so good.
It's not for kids.
No.
In any way. I just saw this and I really am ashamed that I didn't get to read it, but this is Vampirella Dracula Unholy in issue number 25 of Vampirella. They got married. And so this is the series that's offshooting from that. This is the Ash Can. So you're not going to be able to find probably a bunch of these laying around because only one went to each store. But you might be able to ask your local comic shop if you could borrow it to read the Ash Can of it. It's meant for us to try to make a decision about how many copies to order. But I mean, there's a match made in heck, right? Thank you, Kinnaman. You're the best. Thank you, Drew. Thank you.
And they're on Netflix. I think they're Netflix originals, aren't they?
I believe so.
If you wanted to watch Altered Carbon, it's on there.
And it is based on a Dynamite book. So if you want to read the source material first, you can, or you can watch the shows and then read the source material. I find either one to be completely acceptable. Here, I'll do the next one. Since we're way disparate here.
I know.
All right, and this one is a book you are probably not going to find at your local comic shop, but it is definitely an indie book that you want them to start carrying. Orange Cone is a great company. Travis Gibb and a bunch of other folk have gotten together and made really quality books. So there's not a junk among them. They're all great. So pick whatever you want and you'll be very happy. But this one is called Expired, and it just came to me. I supported their Kickstarter. I know now what I didn't know before as a retailer is that often small press or individual creators do Kickstarters as proof of concept to small press. So, for example, this one was, but maybe another small press like Scout or Source Point or Aftershock will see this book in print and be like, you know, this needs a bigger audience, and look at us. Supporting Kickstarters or telling your store that you want them to support a Kickstarter at the retailer level so you get access to books is important. So, hey, Jeff. So this is Expired. And essentially, without giving a whole bunch away in the series, they have 10 days, this group, to try to avoid, looks like interstellar war. So the Expired is that the one main character who's not actually pictured on the front here. This is actually a variant cover. The main character, who looks like an older gentleman, has exactly, I think when we see his armband, he has exactly 11 days in which to suss out how to get his people together and to fight what's going on. So all the art is beautiful, like this art is on the cover. And you know, it's co-written by Travis Gibb, who brought us Voodoo Nation and broke down Four Dead Bodies. So both of those have a big following. So support this one. This is best I could tell. I would say maybe sci-fi fantasy is probably the best category for it. Consider adding that to your poll and having your local comic shop hunt it down.
All right. No, so this one is from Scout. This is Thud, which you can see this very cool, like cartoony art style on the cover is what you get all the way through. And this book was wild and fun. And it's the kind of book where, like, you know, you can feel when a book is personal. I don't know if that's true. I don't really know anything about the artist and writer, but it feels like this is a personal book, and it's about a young man who loves to draw. He loves to draw. He's created this superhero, Thud. And as a kid, he loves it. He draws all the time. He's very creative. Gets older, life gets in the way. You know, I mean, he draws less, and you know, just there's always something else
Girls
to be doing. Girls, yeah. And so then he has this accident, and all of a sudden he seems to, and my first reading of this was that sort of like in his like unconscious state, he was imagining that he became this superhero, this very cool, and like the action sequences are awesome where he's like, you know, like running around as this superhero, and then he, you know, not to spoil it too much, but I feel like you need to kind of know like where the story's going. He wakes up from this like coma he's been in, and someone puts on the news, and the things that were happening when he was a superhero happened in real life. And so it is so good, and it's funny because, you know, it's like it's got great humor, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go. Like this story, I don't know, it, like I said, it feels very personal, and I love books like that. It feels like a labor of love from this artist and writer. So
I interviewed PB yesterday.
Oh, so you know.
Delightful gentleman. And he did say it's very personal. There's a lot of him in this book, although it's not obviously based on reality because he's not also a superhero named Thud. But that I asked him, he originally is he mostly is an artist, right? Because that's what the story is about, is someone that's obsessively drawing things. And the cool thing they told me is that, you know, he wasn't a writer, and he kind of like shopped it around for writers and just couldn't find someone that matched him. And so he kind of got forced into learning how to write. And I asked him if he has some other projects, if someone wanted to approach him, they would like to work with to do part of his work. And he said, well, it would have to be a writer because, of course, I'm the artist. But he says, I think I really like writing, so maybe I don't want anybody else. Yeah. So he's found, you know, sometimes you don't know you've got a skill until you're forced to it. So I just want to say hi to Ken. Ken says he has started to like Scout and Source Point Press books and AWA and Vault. Those are all amazing. Enjoy those. Hi, Richard. Hi, Rick. I see you. Yep. And everyone's in town. I love it. Welcome, everybody. So I will tell you this. This is what I see happens a lot with these kinds of books.
Which we have two of them because we both read it.
Yeah. So what happens a lot with these kinds of books is the art looks cartoony. And so people don't pick it up because they think it's not going to be something that will appeal to them because it doesn't have like serious looking art in it. But I will tell you that just like another one of my favorite books, Action Tank, which also looks very childlike. When you are reading it, that art will make the story come alive for you. It is a perfect match. So don't let the art style chase you away from enjoying an amazing book. Especially support this guy's, this is his very first work. So PB also has another career. Trying to remember, I know exactly where he works, and it went away from my brain. Anyway, he's got a cool other job that's not related. You missed Stray Dogs because of kids' art style. See? So yeah, don't judge books by their cover art. Listen to your friends or watch review shows and see what they have to say about it, because we've got access to it a little bit early. Thank you, Pandora. Thank you, Drew was totally watching that show. Pandora, he works for Pandora. That's right, and has for a long time. All right, my turn. All right, you guys know that I'm obsessed with Pete Stanchek, so it won't surprise you at all that I'm reading Harbinger #2. Oh my lord, I'm telling you right now. Okay, so what we know from the first issue of Harbinger is someone who shows up and is told that they're Pete Stanchek, and everyone basically freaks all the way out about, because I don't know if you guys know, but Pete Stanchek is like one of the most popular psyops that there ever has been, only to be kind of matched up by Toyo Harada, who is a bad guy, who is also a big powered up Psiot. Pete Stanchuk can basically activate anybody else that he wants to for their Psiot abilities, which is like, there's only 2 people that can do that. And also he's very super dangerous, like destroy the planet with a thought, or either he's just like, there's nothing he can't do. He's that crazy good. But he doesn't know who he is when he shows up in issue number 1, and everyone's just treating him like enemy number 1 and scared to death of him, and with good measure. So this one delves more into that, where he's trying to figure out what in the world is going on, what his powers are. People have started to approach him, and there's a huge freaking twist at the end of this book. So, you know how sometimes they say that issue number 2, especially like companies like Marvel, they always in issue 2, they're bringing the heat. They're just like setting you up in number 1. And just when you forget to put it on your poll, they're like, boom, new character, new bad guy, new power, changes the universe. Don't miss number 2 of this. Just go pick up number 1 and number 2. If you don't like these 2, maybe Valiant isn't for you, because if this doesn't excite you, I don't know how to get you there. Get on it. Read it.
Do you want to do another one?
I think so.
This week, because Miss Jen always reads the Marvel and I always read DC, but last week I was really busy with DC, and this week she's really busy with Marvel, so they must be talking to each other and coordinating,
So. It's totally true. Okay. Black Panther number 1. When last we saw Black Panther in the last series that he was in, I think Ta-Nehisi Coates, he was basically spending a lot of time in space and ruling an intergalactic empire, which is super cool. But I've been waiting for Black Panther to come back down and, gather up his role with the Avengers again, and have interaction with those guys. And that's going to get you, this gets you back to that. This one has a lot of Shuri in it. So if you're a Shuri fan, and you should be, because that's where Black Panther 2 is going, this is a good place to start back in. Yep. And that's really all I can tell you. It really does tie into that other series. It's not like they're just ignoring the fact that he's been in space, ruling space for a while. So it touches on that and then moves forward from there. So if you were already on Black Panther, make sure your local comic shop knows that you want to continue on it, because you will like this series.
All right. I got number 2 of Task Force Z from DC, which I will say, because I read number 1 of Task Force Z. It's probably one of my favorite series that DC is doing right now. And if you miss number 1, you could totally come in at number 2. Like, number 1 was awesome. Number 2 is really good too. But these are really action-packed. Lots of monsters, lots of battles. And really, I don't know if this makes sense, but like the characters and the team are just sort of standing for themselves. You just watch them battles. And so basically what Task Force Z is a team put together based on all and the Red Hood. So he's like the team leader of these villains that have all been resurrected using the Lazarus resin. And in the first one, you see it's just sheer chaos, because I mean, it's literally him trying to control a bunch of zombified Batman villains, and it does not go very well. In this second issue, it is going better. Like, they're starting to get the team together. I would say definitely, like, if you're curious about this is the one to come in at, because it is starting to like build more relationships. You're starting to learn more about these characters and about the mechanics of, no spoiler, but some of them die, and then they just sort of, give them a little shot and they're fine, because they're zombies and they're resurrected with Lazarus resin. So they just boop, like, just boop. Yeah, just kind of, oh, you're fine, kind of like video game mechanics, like, oh, put a band-aid on it, you're okay. But yeah, this is really awesome. That's why I picked up the number 2 this week too, and it is so good. And it's really interesting, because even though these characters are zombified, in some ways you're learning they still have their own personalities and their own issues and their own preferences. I'm especially enjoying Mr. Bloom, who is not dead.
Yeah.
He's on work release. So, he's doing his best to try to help. And I think that he is quickly becoming one of my new favorite villains.
Hey, hi, everybody. I see that there are a lot of people asking about the interview that's coming up in just a little while, in about half an hour, as a matter of fact. That is not this stream, but it's going to be on this. You can watch it. It's going to be me, but it's not this stream. So there should be links on all of the posts we made today for where that's actually going to be, which is on the Comic Book Shopping Network, just so that you know, if that's what you're waiting for. But you can still see my review about it. And I just switched over to our faster Wi-Fi, so it should clear up for you guys. Especially when we start on the next stream, I'll definitely be on. I've got a really super fast Wi-Fi back here, and I had forgotten to put us on it when we started the show, so I apologize. It's all fixed now. X-Force Killshot by Liefeld. Oh my goodness, this is hilarious. So, no lie, the beginning of they're basically trying to go after Strife. And there's so many, if you don't know, Cable is a time jumping or time sliding character. And because of this, there are many, 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 many versions of him that are stashed throughout time. And other people too, as it turns out. So like Agent X and all of these other characters that have kind of shown up over time, like Shatterstar. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning of the book, it's him putting together a team to go after Strife. And it has like these really cool like headshots of each of them and has their name underneath them. And they are all talking to each other, like team assemble, blah, blah. So it has them all going across. And then you turn the page and then it has them again, but the different versions of them. And by the time you get to the third page, it's like, how many of us are on this thing anyway? So it's just like awkward, many versions of the same thing. Yeah. Including Venompool, which is awesome. He's a huge hulked out thing. So if you like fun romps through time to go and kill a mortal enemy, that probably won't work out well if you have multiple of Deadpool with you. That's this book. This is called X-Force Killshot. So I know that sometimes these little, side stories get lost because everyone's like, another book to buy this week. Yeah. That was a fun one. I really enjoyed reading that one. And then another fun read. This is Star Wars Life Day, I think, which is a holiday that only exists in the Star Wars universe. But this is, I think, 4 or 5 stories that are all happen in the Star Wars universe about Life Day. And they all have, the central characters are Han and Chewie, and then a little Leia and 3PO and R2-D2 thrown in there. So they're all kind of them all over the Star Wars universe, having adventures, and they're all great.
Alrighty, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna let me go ahead and get this one talked about. All right, this is the League of Extraordinary Corona. Yeah. So I don't know how I feel about this book. I will say it's so. In it, basically, kind of the idea of it is, and it is supposed to be a satire, and it's kind of, but there's a lot of talk about the pandemic and COVID being fake and being made up. So it's very different. It's there's a lot of caricatures of people, like real people from the pandemic and everything. And there's just some stuff in it. It was, which the main character, what is his name? Do you know his name? Is Cerebus? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and it's It was a book.
That's right. Okay, so now we know all of Bean's words for I didn't like this book. It's a book.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about this book.
Yeah.
Just, I feel weird about this book. I was like, well, just say you feel weird about the book. It's okay.
Yeah, it gives me weird vibes. So it's it was interesting, but it was it like I said, it is definitely doing the line of satire very well, of right down the line of what's going on here, you know. So
this is the second book that Dave's done that touches on coronavirus. So I was used to the way he has Bee's behavior or what his thoughts are on corona. So that one was kind of funny. This one's, I like it because it looks like it takes place in a gallery. And in the background and pictures of, you know, different viruses, there's like Grandpa SARS. It's just funny to me. And so if you are used to Dave Sim humor, then you'll think it's a funny book. They're all one shots. So don't ever think that there's any continuity in any of it. So if you want to have just a one thing to laugh at, especially since the cover art kind of looks like, you know, that mistake cover or card that they had for 3PO where part of his costume looked like a part. That's totally happening on this cover, by the way. It's absolutely on there. So if you like to collect things like that, then you totally should pick up this crazy thing. And yes, I did go over the Unholy. This is just an ash can, by the way. It was just sent to us so that we could get a handle on whether we wanted to have a whole bunch or a whole bunch of Vampirilla Dracula Unholy after their union happened in Vampirilla number 25. I think that was last week. So this is just a heads up, put it on your poll, because if you're just signed up for Vampirilla, I'm not sure if you'll get that. Depends on how your local comic shop thinks about those kinds of books. I know all of y'all have been waiting on this book. How about Donny Cates being let loose on the world of Hulk? So I like it because it kind of lets you know what you're getting into, just like Donnie always does. He'll put things on a book like the death of Rocket Raccoon. And you're like, I wonder if Rocket Raccoon's going to die in this series. You know he's going to do it because he's the R.R. Martin of comics. But this one says, what if the Hulk exists to protect us from Banner? So that's the premise that is put out. This picks up right where the Immortal Hulk storyline left off, in which they are separate entities. And this one has a little bit of a weird concept that he throws in there, but if you get past that one page and see where he's going with it, I think you'll be okay. I think when you get to the middle of the book, if that one page stops you and you're like, I'm out, then maybe this isn't the book series for you. I've learned over time that no matter how ridiculous the Donny Cates gets, he's got a daggum plan and he's going to get you there. So there you go. Hulk number 1. Donny Cates, Ryan Otley, and Frank Martin doing awesome stuff. And he's terrifying, by the way. If you thought you couldn't get Hulk more horrifying, and why would you give the Hulk to someone who likes to just kill other characters? Now he is the most powerful creature in the universe. That is immortal. By the way, think about this. The Hulk is immortal, but Banner is not.
Things that make you go, Alrighty. I'm going to talk about House of Slaughter number 2.
I'm so jealous.
Because I had to read something this week.
Yes, that's true. It's a problem when I'm like, all my books, go away.
And so this one's awesome. I mean, obviously, number 1 was awesome. Number 2, we are learning more and more about Jay Slaughter, and Jay Slaughter is the one that appears in Something is Killing the Children. Is that right?
I don't remember ever seeing that character, but I also did not get to read the later issues, so maybe he's been around for a long time. I always assumed he was introduced in number 1 of this series, but someone who's been out there and read all of the Something is Killing the Children could tell us.
Well, and this one, so Jace is here on the cover, and he's awesome. We learn a lot more about him in this issue. You see a lot more of the House of Slaughter and the dynamics. Now, the first one was really kind of like getting you used to the dynamics and like the rules set up and everything. And this one is really about building up that knowledge of the characters and like understanding like who these guys are, and seeing Jay Slaughter being like inducted into House of Slaughter and, you know, changing his allegiance from his previous house to the new one. It's really, really good. I love these characters. Like, it is this one is awesome, and like I said, I'm so glad that I get to read this one, even though I still haven't read Something is Killing the Children. But you know, I will soon, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, everyone's giving me some really good thoughts here.
Okay.
The Hulkiverse with Ong Lee's Hulk and Edward Norton's Hulk. That would be fun to put it together. I think, why not?
Oh,
soon there'll be 30 Hulks, and they will all be from some other planet. Great gravy. And why Slaughter? Why not House of Snuggles? Like it.
No spoiler, but there is a little bit of snuggling in this book.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. And I did call it House of Snuggles. So I don't know if maybe you read the same part that I read, but we'll all be reading it soon and thinking House of Snuggles.
And Adrian believes that the red spectrum will cross over from DC to become a source of all Hulks. Oh no, that's way too scary. No. It would be very bad. And Rick says it's 7:30 in Michigan. Yep, you guys are on Eastern time. Welcome from Michigan. We have people from all over the world watching us right now, and I'm super thankful. Appreciate it. All right, this is something you're not going to find in another place, because this one is a teaser that I got sent from the sweet people at Dead Good Comics. This was a Kickstarter little pack that they sent me, because I told everybody, if you want me to review your stuff, just send me a copy, and I'll review anything you send me to get it in front of people. This one is it's called as queen size comic, and it's not lying. It's really thick prestige format book called Octobriana with love. And the best I can explain, she's kind of a mixture between Tank Girl, Conan the Barbarian, like a super spy. So basically all that's going on that I can tell, this is back-to-back stories in which there is a character called Baba Yaga, who I think might be in control of time or a time machine, and sends it looks like Octobriana might be in charge of it, but there's another story in here that makes me think that maybe the Baba Yaga is doing all of the moving her through time and giving her things that she has to do. It's not for kids book, because it does have some adult situations in it, but it's really great art through and through. I can't really show very much. See if I can find a really good page. I can. Nope. There's not like full-on nudity. That's not the problem. It's just a bunch of violence. This is my favorite picture of her, though, because she's got a really cool hat. There, see, though, she's got her cool hat on. But she's beautiful. And if you want to find them, I'm sure it's deadgoodcomics.com. This is the Kickstarter limited edition from them. And let me see if I'm right about that. Oh, no. You can go. Here we go. Octobriana. Comic.com. You can totally grab some of these up for yourself. Tell them that you got sent to them by Miss Jen. There you go. And this ridiculous thing. I've been waiting to totally read this forever, because in my mind I was like, it can't possibly be just as horrible as I say, and I mean horrible in the best possible way. Okay, so the way it was pitched to me is that Ranger Stranger is about this ranger who, in short, there's little like short stories that are a page or two long, in which so he kind of gives advice or shows you how to do things, but all of them are completely wrong and likely result in death or super awkward situations. It reminds me a lot of Ice Cream Man, how Ice Cream Man is the main character, and everything is really dark in the way that it turns out. Like here's one, he's just standing there putting bees in someone's tent. So take away all moral direction or intelligence, and then add in to the book every single page where you would normally have an ad is an ad, but it's for not real things, but it looks like that. Period pieces. So it looks like it comes straight out of the 50s and 60s. Yeah. Tongue-in-cheek 60s stuff. But Ranger Stranger is amazing and horrible all at the same moment. Don't leave this around for your kids to accidentally read, because you don't have to explain some things to them. But yeah, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. I love it because there's pages in there where the story is just 6 panels, and it'll be like something, and then 2 panels of like just people sitting there and looking at each other, and it's waiting for you to catch on to the joke that they just told in the top. And sure enough, you're like, oh. So yeah, it's a spectacular. Nice. Don't miss it.
I guess my last book that I have is White Ash Season 2, number 1. So this one, which is Hannah's favorite comic, and I promise to butcher my review for her specifically. But so I'm gonna do my absolute best, even though she's the expert. And so in this, and this is coming from somebody who has not read the first series at all, I still really enjoyed this and knew what was going on. So if you have not read the first one and you want to jump in, the water's fine. Yeah. Well, I mean, not this water, because there's a monster in it, but you know. And so basically in this world, which you do kind of have to pick up on a lot of context clues going on. But in this world, there are dwarves and there are elves, and they are not in a good situation. There's also other like mythical creatures. I believe that there's some sort of, I think it's a goblin or some sort that's a prisoner and is being tortured, but they're constantly like healing themselves again. So it's got like all of your favorite like supernatural spooky folk. And basically these characters on the front are Alec, and I can't remember her name, but she is an elf. And you actually find out as you're reading. Either. I know. And
I think it's like Lilith or something.
Yeah. And so they are in love, or at least they are hooking up, like each other, and they're going out and they're like hunting down these creatures, but they're doing it in secret because he is half dwarf and she's an elf, and those two factions do not get along. So it's got like the sort of like forbidden love, but there's also monsters. And then there's a whole other plot where you don't see very much of the dwarves until the very end of the comic, but there's a whole situation going on with the dwarves. There's a whole situation going on with the elves. And then there's also a police detective who is trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And from what I can understand, he's just a regular guy. He's the regular guy who's going around town trying to figure out what's going on while all this supernatural stuff is happening in the back. So yeah, it's really, really good. I understand now why Hannah yells every time we get one of these in. This is White Ash. It is so good. So definitely, like I said, you can get all season 1 in trades, but this is season 2, number 1, and it's a thick comic too, which I've got 2 of them here because we both read them this week. But yeah, it's a thick comic. A lot goes on in this first one, but it's a really good introduction to the world if you haven't read it already and you haven't already been in that world. So I would definitely recommend it. It was really, really good.
Yeah, White Ash, the thing that's about it is that they've been able to hide themselves for millennia because they have a human component that's in the town. And that's where the sheriff comes in. And then, or at least so far, who knows, maybe they'll, aha, this is some other race. But the conflict that exists, just like the Montagues and Capulets problem, is that the female elf that's the main character in this, her dad just happens to be the leader of the elves. His entire purpose is to protect the elves, at the cost of everything else. Like he runs everything. And he is the big bad. So they're running around with each other.
Yeah.
Despite, and you don't want to cross this guy because he will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
But this universe is written to be many, 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 many issues long, at least 60. So you forgot the Smurfs and the what?
And Snarks.
And Snarks. Smurfs and Snarks. That's right. This is meant to be really long form storytelling. So if you want to jump in to something and stick with it for a long time, you got it.
In minor comment, the artist who does this draws the best surprised faces. It was the most surprised face I have ever seen. Like I know that's a small thing, but excellent surprised faces.
So Jay, that's what Dad's trying to prevent. He wants to keep the line pure.
Yeah.
No dwells.
No dwells.
For everybody that's getting super hyped for tomorrow's release of Hawkeye on Disney Plus, this is Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, who is leaving New York to go move to be back where the rest of her superhero friends are. I have no idea where that is, because that maybe California. But she's leaving New York, and as she's leaving town, she's trying to solve a bunch of mysteries because she's, a detective. And as she's just leaving town, she's like, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to get out of here, because the whole thing is people texting her, all of her friend groups. So you're going to see all of her pals saying, when are you getting here? But she gets a message from her sister, which I did not know she had. Maybe everybody else knew this. I was surprised. To come help. But she doesn't know it's her sister when she gets the message. It's just one more message to go come and do this. I will pay you a whole bunch of money to do this thing on your way home. It'll be easy. But it ends up being her sister, and what looks to be a big bad in the background. I have no idea who this is. They show only an arm or something, but it's she has a dog. It's not. I don't think it's Pizza Dog, even though she talks about pizza, but because we know that Hawkeye has a dog called Pizza Dog. But if you like the dynamic of sweet girl doing her thing, that is the one for you. And you were done with yours, right?
Yes.
I've got everything. I'm
doing
my last book. All right. This is the one I'm super excited for this week to talk to you guys about. I've been talking back and forth with Dirk Maney, the writer, for a long time. Twisted's Haunted High-ons, their second series, The Curse of the Green Book. This is a variant cover, so the ones you'll see on the rack might look a little bit different, but this is by Caleb Valerio, who's a very talented artist who's done a lot of variants for us, including Cult of Dracula, and I can't remember all of the ones we've had done, but this one is a very unique one. So this is a second series for the Haunted High-ons. In the first one, they went all the way to heck to get out of that first storyline. All you need to know is that Jamie and Paul, who are Twisted, in this series are playing themselves. And they are ghost hunters. And they're horrible at it. But they have a ghost who hangs out with them. Her name's gonna escape me now. It's such a sweet name. And I said I'd be able to remember it, but I just can't. But she hangs out with them, and really that's kind of how they end up solving things. So in this book, Jamie and Paul get or win these golden tickets to go to New Orleans and visit this voodoo museum. Okay. The problem is that I can't remember which one it is. I think Paul can't remember even entering this contest or how he won it. So there's something else going on. So this is kind of like as far as I'm going to tell you in this book, because it's going to mess a lot of wonderful figuring things out on your own for this series. But I will tell you don't need to know anything. You could really start this book without knowing any of the things I just told you. So if you handed it to a friend, they could probably figure it out that they play themselves as kind of like silly versions of themselves. I don't know, maybe they are kind of this fun. If they're this fun, it'd be fun. I don't know them myself. So especially now we're getting ourselves into a different kind of mysticism when you get to things that are like voodoo and New Orleans based. And there is a character that shows up in this book that's a hooded figure that they seem to be able to see, but no one else is reacting to. And I don't know. I know who I think it looks like, but that would mean a crossover from something else. So I don't know that that's it. It's probably just a character that's new, or maybe is a character from the series before. So how much will it be? We don't talk about prices on this show. It's a review show, Rick. Sorry. Yeah. This is all about the review. Yes, do look out for Twisted Haunted High-ons at your local comic shop. And there are some. Are these all new ones here?
I believe so.
Yep. Some more trade paperbacks that are releasing this week, so you can be on the lookout for those. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters trade paperback is ready to roll for you guys. This was a storyline that took place between the time you see Boba Fett roll out with the carbonite frozen version of Han and that actually showing at Jabba's. So what happens in between is largely that all the rest of the bounty hunters try to steal it away from him because there's a lot of money available from the Hutts for the delivery of Han. So this is a really fun storyline. They sandwiched in between two movies for you. It'll get you all excited for the Boba Fett movie or show that's coming to Disney Plus for you. Also,
I was just looking at it because War of the Bounty Hunters has crossed a lot of different comics. So this one has Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters Alpha and the War of the Bounty Hunters, the comic 1 through 5 in it. So
perfect.
That's what it is. Because I've been getting asked a lot by customers if there's going to be a big collection because it went across so many different stories.
It went through Afra, Darth Vader, regular Star Wars,
all the
War of the Bounty Hunters, IG-88, Bosk. I can't remember the other ones, but that's a lot. It's a bunch of them. Web of Spider-Man trade paperback is also out this week. This one is an interesting one because it was aimed kind of at a younger crowd because it's up for ages 10 and up. But it was just when it was released, it was so popular, the number one, that it got snapped up all the number ones. So here's a chance finally for the young folks in your family to be able to get a hold of that cool series. It was a standalone series. Clearly, it's all done. Another great trade paperback you should grab up this week is X-Core. Everything tied to the Hickman universe that is about the business of Krakoa. And the business of Krakoa is drugs. They use things they get from the island itself to make drugs that can heal humans. So they use the power to have those drugs as a way to force trade and sovereignty for their nation. And this is the behind the scenes stuff that makes it super complex because of that. By the way, if that doesn't excite you at all, it's just because you didn't go to business school, I guess, because that kind of stuff makes me all kinds happy. And I also did go to business school, but anyway. Oh, don't miss this crazy cool thing. This is a standalone book called Miskatonic that's tied to the main Miskatonic storyline. It's one of those cool magazine size books. That's from our friends at Aftershock. And also available, The Sinister War. It was a little short series that they finished really recently. It's just a 4-issue series that Nick Spencer did. So that's also available. And also The Mighty Valkyries. All hell let loose. It's another storyline that finished up recently and you might have missed out on. So there are a bunch of cool Marvel trade paperbacks for you guys this week. A lot of those were ones that, because of when they were released in this time of pandemic, all those issues might not have been very really available to you. So use this time to go to your local comic shops, phone line, or send them an email, or message them on Facebook or Instagram or wherever you connect with them, and let them know which of these books you want to have so that they know to pull them for you. Especially this week when you might be traveling away from your home shop. You don't want to miss any of these books that aren't usually on your pull that you just heard about tonight.
And I know that at least one of them that we didn't get today that we're getting tomorrow is Good Boy.
Yep.
So we'll probably, maybe if you're waiting on that review, maybe we can do that on the show next week so that we can, because I want an excuse to read it.
Don't worry. We have so many copies of that coming in. Good Boy, all you really need to know about it, because we've read the ash can for it, is that it takes the roles of John Wick and his dog, and instead of having them be just a puppy and a human, you've got a human and his anthropomorphic dog companion who are both assassins together. And in this series, pretty early on, the character John Sparks, who's a human, gets killed. And that leashes Flint Sparks, who is the dog component of this tandem person. And then, nope, not John Wolf. It was Flint Sparks. Get used to that name because it's going to be very popular. Flint Sparks goes on a rampage and kills everybody, man or beast, that had anything to do with such a thing. So Good Boy is going to be a hot, incredibly hot book series. So don't miss out on that one. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us for Minute to Skim It. We do this every single week, this same space and same time. So if you like what you've seen today, subscribe. Super simple. Just hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it definitely helps us out. We appreciate it. Lets us know we're doing a good job. We also like feedback. We'd love to have some feedback from you guys. Let us know how you feel about our reviews. We can't do anything about anything else because we are who we are. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.